Here to our chamber community coffee. We're glad that everybody came this morning. I hope that everybody is taking advantage of the wonderful spread that Northwest Tech has put together for us. So thank you for hosting and for yummy breakfast, Jay. So this is our legislative eggs and issues community coffee. So we have Peyton, who is here from Senator Langford's office, and we have our representative, Dr. Do I call it? See, no. So I'm from
Whatever
Winoka.
you want to call me.
I'm from Winoka.
Carl. I go by Carl.
He goes by Carl.
Okay.
If you're from Winoka, though, he's Carl Wade.
Carl Wade. One word.
And I'm from Winoka, and so he's Carl Wade to me. I've always known him as Carl Wade.
I like
that. So that's what it is. But we want to welcome you all, and do you all want to get started, or do we want to go ahead and tell all of the chamber events?
Usually chamber talks after.
Chamber talks after. Okay, so you guys choose which, how you want to go first, and I'm going to step out of the way.
Well, good morning, all. I'll be quick. I'll let Carl. He has a sheet of bills here. He wants to go through every single one of them.
Everyone.
I'll be quick. Peyton Burns. I'm with Senator Langford's office. I cover Northwest Oklahoma as a field representative for him. Just want to touch on a couple things the Senator's been working on. It's an election year in November, so most everything that is brought up before the floor right now is unfortunately going to be politically driven, mostly, and at a game to try to message for the election in November. One of those being here recently, in the last few months, they reintroduced the bill that he had worked on in good faith in February to solve the border crisis and to work together to try to figure out a solution that would get across the line, get both parties together, and get it to the president's desk. Unfortunately, that drug on to the primaries, and the primaries had a lot of a role to play, and that being messaged poorly there towards the end. And here in the last month or so, they brought it back up and tried to use it as a political messaging, like, hey, here's what happened. But to get anything done in Congress, you have to be able to talk to other people and try to solve a problem. You have representatives from all across the country, and to be in your own bubble and talk to only people you agree with doesn't necessarily get anything across the finish line. And in this situation, they didn't talk to anyone on the conservative side, the Republican side, or the senator about this, bringing this bill up. They just brought it up out of thin air to try to message on it with none of the foreign aid aspect of it. So that was one thing that's happened here in the last few weeks. The Senate voted it down, but a couple other things he's been working on. The Farm Bill is coming up. It's the deadline's approaching. We have 3 more legislative weeks until September, until essentially August recess to September. So getting that progress going has been a challenge. The House has already put through their version of the Farm Bill. It's fairly bipartisan on votes. On the Senate side, we have Senator Stabenow, who is leaving from Michigan, who's going to be leaving the Senate here at the end of the year. She is the chair of that committee, and she has not really worked across the aisle much in this whole process, and that's what's going to happen for a Farm Bill to come together. So they have both released their summaries, the Senate majority and the minority in the Senate there, and with Senator Bozeman, who the senator was happy to actually take here in Oklahoma here a few weeks ago. So the Farm Bill is going to be something that's going to be interesting and keep our eyes on in the next few months. I want to touch quickly on one other thing, which is Title IX. There's been a couple Title IX rulings that, by the way, this is protection for males and females in sports and education. The administration's put a few new rules down on that. The senator introduced a bill here with Cindy Hyde-Smith here in the last month to address. It's been introduced previously, but reintroduced to reverse the administration's rule on Title IX, which would basically enforce that transgender athletes, women, men have to compete, have to be able to have the opportunities to compete in the same athletic events. And not only does it boil down to that, it also bleeds into our smaller schools when it's talking about dormitories and rooms. So having all male and all female dorms rooms or having that opportunity would be barred essentially with this ruling that the administration is trying to clamp down on with Title IX. So we're going to keep watching all those, and I'll keep updating you all. If you have any questions, let me know. So happy to answer any questions, but if not, I'll hand it over to Carl.
Do you think we'll actually have a farm bill this year?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Right now, it doesn't look favorable, and the reason I say that is Debbie Stabenow has had zero interest in talking to Bozeman or the Republicans on the Senate to actually get anything done. That's been pretty surprising in the last month, in the last few weeks. That's been the biggest takeaways. They just haven't been willing to talk on the Senate side, and there's no option of considering the House's version that's passed committee and will be on the floor here before too long. So they got a conference at some point, so the House and the Senate has to come together on this. Their ag committees and talk about what they want done, and that hasn't happened yet, and it's far from happening, unfortunately. So from what we've heard from the ag committee, the senator, he's not on the ag committee. He's been told by leadership there that he is the most involved senator that's not on the ag committee and what's going on there. He has a lot of his provisions from his Soil Act, which would address transparency and foreign ownership of land, and having extra added steps to be able to have more transparency there. So there's progress happening. Unfortunately, this year just really hasn't been as fast as we expected, especially with a senator that's the chair of that committee that is leaving in November or in January out of office. You'd think she would want to get a farm bill done before she leaves office, but we haven't seen that happening. So I don't know. Coin flip.
On that got till November to get it done.
Yeah, I believe November 1 or October 1. I'm not exactly sure on that. I should know that date. But most appropriation bills, all their deadlines are October 1. So the farm bill would be around that time too. And they also got to get the NDAA done too. So that'll be something to monitor.
Is that a deadline for the Title IX bill too?
No, the Title IX bill has no deadline. That's just that's a ruling that the administration made. So this was something done by Department of Education, an agency with the Biden administration that has been made, and there's no deadline really there. When we see, if we see an administration flip, you'll see the Title IX. I don't know this for sure, but we would think that the Title IX portion would just that whole ruling would disappear because that's all administration led by the president. So.
Does the Farm Bill expire at the end of 24? Is that right? Isn't that the deadline for that?
Yeah, the Farm Bill is towards the end of this year, and I'm blanking on it if it's October or November. Quite honestly, we have a lot of things to do October 1. A lot of appropriations. All 12 appropriations bills have to be done by October 1, and I believe the extension was to October 1 as well. But yes, it does expire. They can create another extension to the Farm Bill, and that's what it's a 50-50 if that happens, or if they get an actual Farm Bill done. Like I said, there's been a hesitancy to work together, and a lot of this has been led, unfortunately, and you might hear it differently in the news, but it's been led by Debbie Stabenow in the Senate Ag Chair and her team. They have a summary together of their Farm Bill proposals, and it's very partisan, very partisan. And in this case, the Republicans have worked. And they have a bipartisan proposal. So the ranking member there of the Ag Committee, John Bozeman, he put out a summary that was very similar to the House's version. And the House's version had a good portion of a bipartisan vote on it to pass through committee. So that hasn't been on the floor yet, but they do actually have text in the House and have passed through committee on the Farm Bill. But on the Senate side, you have summaries from the chairman and the ranking member of the Ag Committee, and we don't have an actual text of a bill yet. So that's where that's at.
I should know the answer to this question, but do we know what the percentage of the national budget is, the Farm Bill? Do we know what ranking it is as far as?
I don't know that. No, I wish I knew that. I knew that at one point in FFA. We had it's changed, I imagine.
There's a lot of stuff in the Farm Bill that people don't think are anything food related.
Yeah, 87% of it now is the supplemental nutrition program, and that's always been a concern of the senators, is how high that percentage is, the dollars that are going into that for the Farm Bill, and not only all of that, but how is SNAP being implemented? Is it being implemented in an effective manner where people are going in the store and getting what they actually need, or is it a government loophole or bureaucratic enforcement where you spend $4 or $5 more on something that's less healthy, but that's what applies to your food stamp, in that certain instance. So there's a lot of things with SNAP really needs to be addressed this Farm Bill too. So
That could be addressed with any governmental agency,
Right.
whether it's Farm Bill or not.
yeah. Anything else, Noel? Thank you.
Thank you, Paige. First of all, thank you all very much for setting this up and doing this. Thank you for allowing me to serve you for 2 more years. I am blessed to get to represent Northwest Oklahoma. I guess the majority of you, we can say at least, want me to stay here for 2 more years. So I will give, but seriously, I do appreciate it. It's not always fun. It's interesting when you're on my side because it just takes 2 or 3 votes and you lose people mad at you. And they don't look at the body of work. I look at Senator Langford. He's one that really, in my opinion, really cares about Oklahoma. But he's made one vote. Then a bunch of people are just going to throw him off the bus because of one vote. And so it gets hard, it gets tough on our end sometimes, but I do appreciate him. This is a man I do believe that really cares. Of all the federal officials, I had one call on election night congratulating me for my win, Senator Langford. And so he reaches out and cares, and he's always been very responsive to everything we've ever done. So anyway, I mean, not that I don't have a great relationship with all the other federal officials. I just wanted to share that. I think that makes a difference there. But anyway, thank you again. It is an honor to be here. Senator Murdoch, for some reason, is trying to move cattle today after a busy week. And so he said he needed to get them off pasture. They're out of food, and they've got to get moved. And so he will be here next time. But I just wanted to kind of cover the session that we had this year. And then I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to have next year, which is going to be very interesting, I think, on both sides of the building. Just in case somebody asked me about a specific bill, I brought my sheet. This is the sheet that I have. After I've read a bill and done it all, we do a quick little summary on them so I can kind of remember what they are. And I just did a rough guess on, I think there's 924 bills in here. And these are not the ones that got to committee. These are the ones that came to the floor of the House of Representatives. And so that's how many bills we look at. That's why it fascinates me that one bill out of 900 some, you can judge who I am by one bill. And so, and I'm going to be honest with you. There's bills I've looked at after I looked at them, I voted on them going, ooh, that one I don't like, Because, I mean, we ran 80 bills in one day, And if you have to go to the bathroom, and you're called back in to vote, and you want to look at this House Bill, so it gets to be difficult, but, anyway, I'm just being very transparent with you, okay? Is that try to do the best thing and try to read all the bills and look at them, and I have an opinion on all the bills and look at them, and so, anyway. All right, some of the things we did. I'm just going to go through the deal. This is kind of the summary that we had. I got 2 of them here, so I'm ready. All right. I had 4 bills that I got across the line that were big to me. Number one was my prior authorization bill, which would allow that if you go in, you go to the hospital, you need a medical procedure, you go to your doctor, you need a medical procedure or something like that, you have to get a prior authorization from your insurance company before they'll allow you to do that, right? Now, what we were having problems with, that the insurance company, and I'm not picking on the insurance company, it's a good practice. I mean, it's also a high demand on them. They delay it, and if I need a procedure, I want it done now. And so we cleaned up the red tape, tried to improve that timeline. We improved the guidelines so that when you're having problems with your kidneys, that if they're rejecting it, that a doctor that's familiar with kidneys and kidney surgery and kidney treatment is actually looking at that from the insurance company. So that we're making sure that they're doing the thing to make sure that they're doing the right thing, because a lot of them are rejected. And then also tried to clean it up. So, I mean, as an optometrist and working in an office over there, I spend the last hour, even now, going through like electronic charts, you know, and doing all that. Well, I don't have to do a lot of prior authorizations, but even having to go do that on top of it, it takes away from family time. But also, it takes away from me having time to see my patients. And so, this is one of the bills I'm very proud of, because I got the insurance groups. I think I've told you this. Insurance groups. I got the hospitals. I got the physicians in there. Put them in a room and said, "Hey, we're going to work this out. We need to do something for the people." And so we got a bill across. It was unanimous on both sides, and even the governor signed it. So there you go. Well, that's good for me today. So I was very pleased that some of the things we did were try to help protect rights of property owners from people that coming in and camping out on their properties and stuff like that, or county property and state properties. For the safety of those people, we didn't really be that mean in it. It's just basically we're prohibiting them from being there. If they're not unauthorized to be there or camping out there, that we would help them find another place or move them. And there was a nominal fine if they did it the second time in the same area. So it just tried to move that. One of the things other we got done this year, it was my bill from last year. And by the way, all bills that were in the House and the Senate are dead. We start over with a whole new set. But between the time election cycles, you can carry a bill over. So I had House Bill 1967 that carried over. It would allow a county, at your option, to vote up to a 1-cent sales tax for your ambulance services, your emergency medical services. Just that. Can't do it for anything else, but you could do it for up to that. What is more crucial when you're in crisis than your ambulance service? What has to be updated? You know, there's always new technologies. There's always new, you know, EpiPens don't last forever, right? And stuff like that. So they have to keep up on that. And so we're crippling, because that's all these fundraisers and all that, trying the ambulance service trying to get their funds together. So we're allowing you as a county to decide what you want to do. That's all. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. You know, Cherokee, I think, did a 1/4-cent sales tax. And so, you know, that's what they needed for the ambulance. So just trying to help in that area. We also passed a bill. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to point at me, but it was 3196, a bill I brought forth for rural Oklahoma. My concern is rural Oklahoma. And what it does is kind of like the scholarship for rural physicians. This is for veterinarians that will do a large animal. We're having a lot of problem with large animal vets in rural areas. They all want to go, no offense, take care of the dogs. I don't blame them. Who wants to wrestle a cow versus a dog, you know? You can put a muzzle on the dog, but the cow can kick you from all in, you know. And so, anyway, we're having problems getting them in, and so it'll allow up to 6 scholarships at the vet school. And this is not as funds needed. This is definitely money set aside every year that they will have these in place. So, but they have to come to a rural area, and they have to specialize in large vet. You can't come to Alva. Alva's big, small enough to be a rural area, but they can't then do a small animal. They have to be focused on large animal. So I thought that was good for us. Okay, also another one, House Bill 2158 requires a half semester, half credit in high school for basic financial education. How to learn to write a checkbook, how to take out a loan, how to do all those things that are just basic financial needs, how to pay bills, and how to organize your money. And so I think that's good for us. Representative Dick Lowe brought that forward, and I thought that was a really good bill. And so we did do that. Election and ethics. I know that during the election, some people were talking about that the elections and stuff are not correct. I know that's one of the candidates that was running for against the legislator was saying that they're not there. I don't find that to be true. We try. I think as far as all the states that I know of, I'd say we're in the top 5, maybe top 3 or 2 as far as what do I say? I respect their election process. I mean, if it's that many votes, I would say it's going to be pretty close to that vote being valid, that those are valid voters that are voting. And we don't believe that, I think one of them in here, there's one that's called ranked voting, where somebody's vote's more important than others, and we don't think that's right. But, also that if you're not a citizen, you shouldn't be voting. I'm sorry. And so that's some of the things we worked on. Some of the things we did on deferred maintenance. Northwestern is here. You're going to get some benefit from that.
Yes, thank you.
We did set aside some extra money. I think it was $350 million we put in the legacy. The legacy fund. And what that does is we are self-financing a loan to our colleges and stuff like that, and giving them money to help them with deferred maintenance. Some of it's grants, some of it's loans. But the idea is that our colleges is needing money as far as taking care of it. If you guys, what is it, Herod Hall that has the auditorium? Is that right? I don't know if you guys, well, you ladies have never been in the men's bathroom there, but if you go in the men's bathroom there, that's got the same kind of facilities that I had when I was in grade school and Winoka High School, Winoka grade school. So, there's things like that that need to be worked on. There's things we need to do. And so most of that money went to help higher ed, but then we also put some money back for tourism. And don't quote me on my numbers because I probably got that wrong. But tourism also has some, tourism's the number 3 economy driver for the state of Oklahoma. So we got to take care of our facilities. Before Director Winchester did leave, one of the emphasis he had was Little Sahara State Park. And he made some improvements there. We need to update, but we got Lake Murray, the cabins are running down, just different facilities. There's crisis matter and a lot of things. I can go to Boiling Springs, I can show you things and everything. But that is another one that we're trying to get some deferred maintenance, actually money granted to them to help build that back, and so we can bring more people to come here. I don't know about you, but if you go in there and there's a musty cabin, it's leaking, and it's moldy, how likely are you to come back and stay? It's not likely.
So is that $350 million for the whole state, or is that $350 million for higher
Just
ed?
Northwestern. No, that's for the whole state.
And it's kind of been touted as higher ed, but it's actually
higher ed, but higher ed gets most of it. I think 90% of it is higher ed, and then like 10% goes to. But that is payout over time. And so.
And then how will that be distributed?
Huh?
Who's going to be in charge of distribution of that $350 million?
That will be probably OMS, OMS.
The state region. Well,
The
our parts of state
state
region.
regions will be over that. Yeah, they'll be in charge of that.
You
You can talk to Hickman about that.
Well, typically the regional universities and Northwestern's obviously the one that gets cheated the most, falls short on those.
Okay, there was some money given to OSU and OU this year, and I mean, yours is money given to you, they don't have to pay it back. With that money was set aside for, I think OU wanted 2 buildings, and that was because the pro tem and the city were really pushing that, and we had to get, and then we got some money for OSU also, that was given to OSU for that. But this first year, on the deferred maintenance money, they get, it just goes to regionals. So, we're trying to make sure it doesn't just go to those 2 facilities.
Thank you.
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. Man, I got something right. Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you think any money's going to Alabaster Caverns? Because you know the front entrance,
I know, and I'm
you have to go in the
really
back
trying
and
to-
come out the
Yeah,
back.
the funny thing, it was 1 million, now it's up to 3 million, so to get it fixed.
Inflation.
And so, yeah, I am hopeful that, I don't know this year, but I'm hopeful next year I will get that money, because that's up on the top of their list.
Good.
Because it's embarrassing, no offense. You go in the exit, you come back out the exit, you go halfway in or 2/3 the way in, and then you walk back out, it's kind of like, I've already seen this, you know? And so, yeah, but it is a major, I got the chance to go in and look at it, that's not a little rock that fell. I mean, it's as big as, if I walked right here, I would say it's as big as from this part of the room that fell down in there.
They'll just have to reroute the entrance.
So, I was thinking, we can go in there and chip that thing out and get it out. Nah, not gonna happen. So we're gonna have some, they got some engineering studies going on, so they are working on it. And I haven't heard back from them. They're supposed to be done, I don't remember, maybe some timeline so we can see where we're at and what we need to do to get it done. Because there's not very many cave engineers. I don't know why. But they had to call somebody, and I don't even remember what it was. It only was Tennessee or that way. But anyway, they called somebody in for that. But that, yes, that is a priority, yes.
Good.
And I'm making it a priority too. So, yeah, that is it. We also, for state agencies, stuff like that, the limit was like $1,000 if you had equipment or something like that you needed. You could only buy $1,000 or more locally if you needed it. We raised that up to $2,500 so that you could do some things around here instead of having to send in requisitions and go through the process. One of the interesting things, one of the very conservative legislators back years ago started OMES. And OMES is operations and maintenance. In other words, they're overall everything. I mean, they IT for most of the agencies, almost all the agencies. They decide the car fleet and all those kind of things. And so they become their own huge, and they're all at the direction of the governor. And so we think they've overgrown themselves, and so we're trying to work some of those things out because I think it's become I have 13 agencies in the Natural Resources Subcommittee that come and talk to me, and I would say 75% of them, their IT costs keep climbing real fast. Guess who's in charge of the IT costs? OMES. And so, anyway, that's something we are working on, trying to get that in. I had a bill killed because I was trying to take it out from underneath them. What's the prioritization? I don't want to bore you. Okay, there it is. $345.5 million worth of capital improvements. Okay, 345, no, 350 million. It's 345.5. So, and then also, I'm just trying to. We did raise your. By the way, we did raise your hunting fees. There was a shortage game rangers right now make less than a lot of people. And so they wanted to do that. And wildlife's always been self-funded. I mean, they get money enough in that they can take care of themselves. They're non-appropriated, what we call them. And so we want to keep them that way, and so we did raise the fees. But we did raise the hunting age for those youth, before you get licensed. We moved it from 16 to 18. So we moved that. And so we were not trying to hurt those. And we raised the out-of-state fees quite a bit too. So, and so that's something we did there. And then also, as you guys know, we eliminated the 4.5% sales tax on groceries. You will not see that into effect until August. Now, what are we going to define as a grocery, okay? I mean, I go in a grocery store, and there's pots and pans, there's food in the deli and all that. Those aren't going to be off. It's just essential foods. A lot of the ones that fill in on the SNAP program, that's what they're going to be. It's kind of those of food. Actually, they're foods like milk, bread, you buy meat or cheese or whatever, that kind of stuff. But if it's already even frozen pizzas, yeah, you're going to still get a break on those. But I mean, if they prepare it in the store and put it in the hot deli, you're going to pay full tax on that. Okay? If it's alcohol, you're paying full tax on that. If it's, like I said, pots and pans, you're paying full tax on that. So, I mean, but also remember, it's only the 4.5. Tax rate right now is like 9 something, right?
9.25 here.
Huh?
It's 9.25 here.
9.25 here. So you're going to eliminate about half of that. Now, there was a move for us to take it. We moved it so we wouldn't affect your local and county's taxes. I mean, I'm sorry, but grocery stores and food processors, stuff like that, are huge to your economy on the local level. If we eliminated that tax, it would really hurt. And so we felt like it's we did make a moratorium that they couldn't raise it, or even pass that moratorium so they can raise it if they need to. I'm always worried about somebody's taxes coming up and need to be, be run on the election and everything. Say, well, can we do that? And no, not really. And so we took that moratorium off. But they're not supposed to raise it. In other words, I don't want you to go in and pay groceries on food, and the counties or the cities go in there and add another 4.5 cents. But the idea is to keep it down. And so that's something we did there. What I would say, it's been a good session overall. There was a lot of contention on the budget. The Senate changed their leadership on the budget 3 weeks before session was over. And so that made it very difficult because we had negotiated. Let me give you an example. So the House is over there and the Senate's over here, okay? And they had negotiated to about right here. And then the Senate fires their budget chairman and say, okay, we'll start from here and we want to go our way. We want all the things we want, but we don't want you to get, we want you to give more. Well, that doesn't work out real well. And then you bring the governor in, and for, sorry, nothing against the governor, but for the first 2 meetings, he gave infomercials about a quarter percent income tax cut, Still not talking about the numbers. When we started talking about the numbers, he said, okay, you guys worry about the numbers. Because when the Senate said they weren't going to do a 0.25% income tax cut, then he said, okay, I'll go on. You guys work out the numbers. And so then's when we got down and got numbers. But we finally got down. I think we got a pretty fair budget. It's interesting. If you want to watch the negotiations, they're online. You can go there and watch them, all of them. I tried to get some stuff done as far as in the budget for water research, and it did not get in this budget, but I'm still going to do it. We actually have just to let you know, in OSU, we have one of the best water researchers, part of the university in the state, well, not state, in the nation, actually in the continent, as far as maybe in the world. It's the best water research is done at OSU. And I was just trying to get them $2 million $2 million is a lot of money, but $2 million out of you consider how many billions we spend, but $2 million to help them get some things started, like line up things that they could use, and then they wouldn't be asking $2 million every year for the one-time ask. And anyway, some place in the negotiations got lost out. And actually, I think it's my fault, because I put in my column how the transparency of the Senate was slowing down the process. I'm all for being transparent, but you can be worrying about that so much that you're not doing that. And that's really what killed that bill. Killed that money from coming there. One of the other bills I was really wanting to get across was my water measuring and metering bill. And it got passed through the House, got passed through the Senate, and the governor vetoed it. And I got a call from the Secretary of State that they want to sit down and talk about water issues now. He's figured out this is pretty crucial. If you guys have seen anything in the news, Kansas, okay, for him, just a little real quick background. In Oklahoma, water rights is your rights underneath your property, okay? Unless you sell it. But in a lot of the other states around us, it's state water rights, and they control it. In Kansas, they're looking at southwest Kansas, because the Ogallala Aquifer, which is a huge aquifer that goes from Nebraska, South Dakota, down into Texas, is dropping so fast that Kansas is going to do some measured pullbacks on water usage in that part of the state. What's just south of that? Panhandle. And Panhandle, it goes there. Ogallala hits the Panhandle, goes into southwest Oklahoma, and then on down. So they're looking at that, and so it's going to be, water's crucial to us, and so yeah, I think we just need to know what water we do have. I'm not putting mandates, I just think we need to report the industrial. I got blasted for that over here, especially in this county, that somebody said I was going to put a water meter on every one of you guys' water taps, and that's not the case. This is just industrial water use. Okay, they have to get a permit to get that high volume water use, and so that was what that was on. So, all right, with that, but what I see in the Senate and the House leadership for the next year, it's interesting. Elections are a funny thing. The next leader of the Senate didn't win a seat. He won't be back. One of his cohorts that's real close to him also lost her seat. And so that takes two out of that leadership position. I mean, he was going to be the next, Speaker of the House. He was the boss, And so I don't know where it's going to come out. I mean, on the other side, one of his deterrents from that side also lost her seat. And so Senator Bullard, I think, will step forward and try to run for pro tem. I think the ones that were in the McCourtney group will try to run another individual on that too. So anyway, it's going to be interesting who's going to do it. And I don't know, folks. I'm being very transparent with you. I really think I'm impressed that the governor's got as much power as he's got in the state right now. Because as far as looking at the elections, the ones he endorsed and worked for, the majority of those won. The ones he opposed, they had a little hard time, including the pro tem in the Senate. So, but we still work for the people back home, so we can be all fancy up there at the Capitol, but we still got to come back and work for you guys. And so I always try to do that. Our budget chairman on the House, he's going to run on. It's close. In fact, he's second. out of 3. I mean, he came in second out of 3, so he's behind the other person in the runoff. And so it could affect us too. But I do think that you're probably going to see the 0.25% income tax cut come right back like this year's as much or stronger than it did last year. So that's one of the things that we'll be working on. I'm going to bring my water bill back, especially after I visit with the governor at his request, and we're going to have some serious talks because I am more. Some people are education legislators. Some people are more social legislators. I'm more of an infrastructure legislator. If I had a specialty, I'm concerned about what makes everyday life what you need to live. And I'm sorry, you can't be everything. But I try to work in everything because we deal from boll weevils to aeronautics. But as far as my concern is making sure I take care of our infrastructure out here. So, with that, questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything about funding increases for the domestic violence victim bills?
I'm sorry.
Do you know anything about the funding increase for domestic violence victims?
Yes, we did. We strengthened some penalties on domestic violence. As far as I know that we moved. I think it was even Murdoch's bill that we moved on domestic violence that if a woman was pregnant and they were choking or straining or anything like that, it went to a felony. And we moved a lot more of the domestic violence to a felony.
Do you know if the funding got passed? I know it went to not recently, or recently. I don't know, I just got an email from my boss about it and said we were supposed to call you guys in.
Okay, Senate Bill 2309 increased the domestic violence and sexual assault services revolving fund.
Yeah.
And then at the Office of the Attorney General.
Yes.
We did pass that.
Everything's good to go?
Yeah, first 5% of the money to fund will go into qualified entities serving underserved populations, and then there's 200,000. Yeah, and it does have a star by it, which means we don't. At this point, when they put it out, don't know if the governor signed it or not.
I think that's what we were waiting on.
Yeah, and he should have signed it if he's going to sign
I think
it.
the deadline was a few days ago.
Yeah, just a few days ago. I do not know the answer to that question. Sorry, what he's done on that. I've been kind of worried about working on something else. So, but I can look that up and find out.
Okay.
If you just give me your name or number or something like that, I can contact you. We'll give you that. Okay.
Workforce funding?
Pardon?
Workforce funding?
We don't. Yes, we did get workforce funding. I don't remember exactly the numbers on workforce funding, but there was some bills on workforce and trying to get, that'd be under economic development. Oklahoma Quality Jobs Program? No, that's not it.
There is a national or nationwide program of workforce funding. And we're kind of in a unique spot because we sit 14 miles from Kansas. And we have a lot of students that could benefit from utilizing workforce funding. But Kansas doesn't want to pay an Oklahoma school with theirs, and Oklahoma doesn't want to pay it to a student that's working in Kansas.
Right.
And so I have that issue a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is there any way to
Undo that?
I mean, it's the same program.
I'm going to find, okay, most of the legislators are in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, right? Do they want to help students in Kansas?
I mean,
I'm getting the
there
logistics.
should be some
reciprocity.
There should. I mean, honestly, there should. Because those little communities, we're trying to, I mean, their nursing program is one of the biggest that we help is our practical nursing. There's such a shortage of nurses.
Well, I agree.
And they're killing us because we have a lot of students come from Medicine Lodge, Taiwan. I mean, if they're not taking our nurses, we're educating theirs and sending them back. So some reciprocity would be nice.
So, I mean, like in optometry, where we didn't have, where we had school here, that state would give give funding to another state to help fund those doctors of optometry to come there. I don't know why we couldn't do the same thing with the nurses.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be all.
Okay, thank you. No. No. Anything else? What time is it? Got bacon? 9:04, I'm right on time. No, but no, seriously, please know, I mean, I put my number in the paper every time I put a column in there. I mean, I'll give you my cell phone number if you want it. I'm happy to talk with you, okay? And I love visiting with you, but if you want a request, please email me. I mean, I may talk to all of you tonight, and you may talk to me about different workforce or something like that. Please email me. That's the easier way to keep track of that thing. By the way, I am in the race for the pro tem in the House, which is like the vice president in the House. And so I'm trying to work on that, so I'll be doing a lot of that, just traveling on the state, talking to them. That is voted on by the other members. It's within yourself. So I'll be going around visiting with a lot of those. I think it's a 50-50 chance. There are 4 people running, and I'm in the top 2. I know that. And so we've got a really sharp young gentleman, Kyle Hilbert, that's going to be the speaker. I'm very impressed with him. He's my seatmate, so we sat the same desk mate. We sat 2 at a desk, and so he's been my desk mate for the last 2 years. And so anyway, know him very well. Feel like very comfortable I could work with him and help move us forward a little bit more and try to be some transparency, because I just try to be transparent with you guys as much, and so I think there needs to be that within the legislators, because a lot of times we end up finding out about things. We had a bill, the J&C bill. Do you guys remember hear about that? It's where I thought that'd be a big one. But anyway, how we process and assign judges and stuff like that. There's a whole process on that. And so, anyway, we got that bill handed to us and said, hey, we're running this tomorrow. I mean, let's talk about this, instead of getting stuff dumped in your lap. And it's still going to happen to some degree, but I want to improve the communication is what I'm working on. So, all right, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Peyton and Dr. Nathan. We really do appreciate that. Communication is really what I think all of us can see areas of need. So we appreciate you showing it, especially when we have kind of a small group today. But we do really, really appreciate just talking about it and offering to answer questions that we have. So thank you for that. One big thing I want to celebrate everybody with is the vote for Cher and Beatles. That took place this last week, and we're all very, very excited about that. And it's going to shift. Beatles is going to take that over, so thank you to everybody that voted. I couldn't vote because I'm outside of city limits, but thanks for that. Excited. And then before I do the rest of the chamber announcements, I'm going to have Mindy talk about some stuff going on the tourism side of things that will come to a vote later on in August that we're just going to try to really, really talk about to get everybody educated on and communicate.
Thank you, Megan. So, in 2000, the citizens of Alva approved a 5% tax on hotels and motels. This isn't something that if you live in the city of Alva and you're not renting a motel room that you pay. This is something that people from outside of town pay, and many of you guys have been involved with organizations that have brought to the tourism board requests for events. And over the past 20 years, since 2001, when it was actually went into the opportunity to assign funds, we've given away a couple $1 million to events here in the city of Alva to bring people to our town. Last year we funded 15 different events, plus we have an agreement with the chamber for Visit Alva, and anyway, we're doing a lot of good. During the oil boom, the tourism tax was generating about $464,000 was what it generated in 2015. This tier, we're gonna be lucky if it gets to 150,000. So we are bringing in a lot less money. And we've got so many great events, and so many volunteers are working so hard on all of these activities for our city, that we've proposed, and it was voted on at the city council meeting about 6 weeks ago, that we are going to propose that it's raised from 5% to 8% on hotel rooms. And we are currently the lowest in our area. When we started this in 2000, 5% was the going rate for everyone. Winoka's getting 8%, Blackwell, Woodward, everyone else. So we want to make sure that that we're keeping up with that. So on the 27th of August, people who live in the city limits, so not Megan, will be asked to vote to raise the tax. This will not eliminate the tax. It can only raise the tax to 8% on hotel rooms. In 2000, this tax passed about 70% of people in the city of Alva voting for it. So we're hoping that it'll be a showing like that again. The tourism committee wants to be and the mayor, we want to be able to continue to fund events adequately. We want to be able to continue to support the efforts of people who are, whether it's the rodeo, the Nescatunga, the car show. We want to be able to continue to support the efforts of the people here in Alva who are working really hard and volunteering their time to bring events to our city. So anyway, I'll be happy to answer any questions. You guys are the first group that I've talked to about this, but I'm starting to have a list of community organizations that we're going to go and talk to. If I'd have known Megan was going to help me, I would have had Norval Ritter come. Norval was the chairman of the committee for 20 years, and he's going to be instrumental in helping us visit with people in the community about that. So do y'all have any questions?
So I wanted to start the ball rolling on talking about it early, since it's coming up in August, and most likely it's an off-the-wall election or a vote, so like low participation is expected, so that's why we want to talk about it now. And again, this is for out-of-town people coming to town, staying in our hotels, bumping that that tax up just a little bit to try to fund things. So I know on the chamber side of things, the tourism tax funds a lot of what we do, so that we can get things promoted, get people to town, and then the rec park is doing an absolutely outstanding job of getting people to town and staying the night. So we can really probably, if we get that passed, we'll see some more funding coming to Alva, so more civic groups can come to tourism and say, hey, we want to do this event, and they'll maybe have the funds to do it, because right now they're tapped out on the funds or the organizations they're already helping fund. There's not a lot of room for adding new events, and of course we all want to add more events. So if you have any questions, hit her up.
So go and vote on August the 27th. Vote yes for the tourism tax increase. We certainly want to be good stewards of the money that comes in from this tax. We feel like we've helped so many organizations and so many events to be more than they could have been without it, and we'll continue on this path of doing a good job for you guys. So anyway, thank you for your time.
All right, also some things to address. We are hiring. We're still accepting applications for the chamber executive director position. I heard yesterday that we weren't hiring, but I'm in that group and we are. So we're working hard on that, still looking for more applications. We're planning our first round of interviews in a couple of weeks. So please, if you have any ideas or any suggestions for people, it would be great. Please let us know. Also on the communication side of things, if you see, kind of right now, Jody and I are running the social media side of things, kind of running the office time, and we have a really outstanding chamber board right now that's also facilitating anything that we need help with. So if you have any suggestions or concerns or ideas, or hey, how about we do this or promote this way, please let us know, because we're open to all of that. Our whole heart and soul is just to promote Alva and get people here, get people to move here, get people to see that we are a town that we want you and we want to embrace you. So please share that information, and also know that coming up we have June Jam this weekend, and we're going to have vendors and crafters and food trucks and inflatables downtown, and of course art at Graceful Arts. Dallas Meyer is doing a painting workshop, so whether you're a novice or an old pro and you just want to be challenged a little bit, this would be a workshop that you want to do. I have noticed also, the more I've been involved in the social media side of Chamber, the little things that are happening in Alva that I personally would maybe not have jumped into, because social things like this, I don't like to walk into a room where I don't know everybody. But Jody took a weaving class that the Cherokee Strip Museum did. And I would never have done that, but she showed me pictures, and it's a very, like, get involved, I guess is my point. We all need to get involved. And as far as communication goes and community coffees, next time we have one, bring a friend. Because I can tell you from my own personal, walking into this room before I was so heavily involved is incredibly intimidating. Because you feel like you don't belong, you feel like this isn't really your people, but you still want to hear what Dr. Newton has to say, but it's just intimidating, right? So bring a friend and make sure that whoever you're talking to about chamber and community coffees knows that we want their input, we want their involvement, we want this to be a place that people feel comfortable coming to and being a part of. So that's one point. Also, Farmers Market will be downtown. All of the retailers that are downtown and G&G and Bar S are going to have punch cards. So if you do some shopping, you fill out your punch card and you get entered in to win $150 in chamber bucks. And then looking to next month for July, Crazy Days is we're already planning that. We're going to have lots of fun downtown. Monopoly is the theme. You'll be seeing some more social media and newspaper ads on that. If you have a business that you want involved, let me know and we'll add you. Something else you're going to start seeing is we are really working hard on a ginormous Christmas event. A 2-day event, Friday and Saturday, filled up with things to do with your family that are cheap and just fun for everyone. We're going to have, the Grinch will be in action, and Santa, maybe Elsa and Anna, sleigh rides, parade downtown.
We're trying to find reindeer.
The broths are trying to find the reindeer. So in order to do that, we want to make it inexpensive for families. So we're going to be doing a 50-50 raffle once a month until we get there. And so the raffle boxes will be at all the local merchants. We're starting out with the retailers first. So if you want to buy 30 tickets for $15 to be entered into a 50-50 raffle where you win half the pot and the chamber keeps half the pot to help fund the Christmas program, then please purchase some tickets and we'll hopefully draw your name. And then on the communication side, once again, we're really trying to work on a robust newsletter of chamber happenings. So if you haven't subscribed to that to see what's going on with the chamber, please do, because we're trying to throw as much, I'm hoping it's not getting too long, because there's so much more than I even realized, and I've been on the chamber for 4 years, that now that we have opened up the door to communication a little bit louder, we're getting more submissions on that, so it's growing, which is excellent news for promoting Alva and getting everybody to know what's going on.
Yeah, so on that, I just want to tag on a couple more things that are happening this weekend and next week is weaving workshop is happening again at Cherokee Strip Museum. It only costs $10 to do that, so make sure you go up there, support them. It was so much fun. I was the youngest one in the room. It was so, I loved it. It was so much fun. So go do that along with everything that's happening with June Jam. Next week, there is also a Network at Night event that is going on at the Bull. I believe that is on Thursday. And then if you have a small business or you know someone who has a small business, there's a small business workshop next Wednesday at noon and 6. It's either 5. Is it 6 or 5? I've got it. Okay. So that is also happening. Yes, 5 to 6. It's from 5 to 6. So that's happening on Wednesday. So make sure that you get into that so you can have your voice heard about what is like
it's just
what yeah, it is like what our small business needs. So that people can communicate. And that's going to be out here. If you need the flyer on that, go check Chamber page. If you don't follow the Chamber page on social media outlets, on Instagram, on Facebook, make sure you do that. And then we've been doing videos, we've been doing reels here recently. So we hope that you're following along with that and seeing the fun things that are going on around town.
We also are looking for 2 new board members because it's our time. I go out in October, So we've got to replace Drew and I think he might have to leave. So we are looking for applications for that, and that'll be in the newsletter as well. So if you want to be on this part of the chamber board and get even more involved, we want you.
And we also want to encourage you, I don't know if you all know that this is available or not, but you can be an individual investor into the chamber. And by being an investor and investing into the chamber, we're able to then invest into other people, into you, into the community, into your events as well. And so we would encourage that to be an individual investor.
We have 3 new chamber members this month. Showtime Nutrition and Wicked Grind, and then
Bridge to Hope. And so we're continuing to work on that and continuing to grow, continuing to push things forward. On the events, we want to encourage you also that if there is an event, we're not only putting it on social media because not everybody's on social media. Chattanooga. We have got it on alvaok.net. If you click events, you can go on and see all of the events. We've been working on keeping that calendar updated. You can also go on through the Visit Alva OK website. You can go to that and click on events. We share the event page on that. So just make sure that you stay up to date through that, and let us know how we can continue to help you, because that's what we want to do, and it is all about the communication. So thank you all so much. Oh yes, question.
Back to June Jam, don't forget the music.
Oh yeah, yes. Thank you
Kyle
for that.
Dillingham.
Yeah.
And if you have not heard Kyle Dillingham, he's an amazing. Does he call it violin or fiddle? I don't know, but it's amazing. And so he will be, is that at 5 tomorrow? I believe it starts at 5 tomorrow with the live music. There's going to be
And then Oklahoma Swing.
Yep, and Oklahoma Swing.
Thank you.
And then there will be so many things and so many other things that are going on as well downtown. So make sure that you go to these events, tell everybody about the events that are going on, because people are like, there's nothing to do around here. Okay.
We're wearing ourselves out, so there is.
Like seriously, no, there is stuff to do around here. You're just not going to do it, is the thing. There's plenty to do around here, and it's because of the amazing people that are in this community that are constantly putting on events. There was something going on every weekend starting June 1st. It was Nescatunga, and then the next week was the block party, and now we're at June Jam, and then next weekend there is the Act 1 play, and then the next weekend is going to be the 4th of July, and the 4th of July is coming up, and the Little Red Hens are doing an event at Hatfield Park for that, so just
subscribe to it.
and then there's Crazy Days with the cruise that's happening. The cruise in third week.
So here's the
There's
point.
just like there's so much.
Communication has to happen because there is so much. So even when we're trying to talk about it, there's more. So subscribe to the newsletter. We're trying to shove it all into that. Look at our Facebook page and the event site, because there is so much.
There's so much to do.
It's something we're very proud of.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I don't think that every community is like this, that we have this amount of people who are so passionate about making the events happen. And so I think that we need to be proud of ourselves as citizens of this community, that we do offer these things.
And support them.
And supporting them.
And bring your
Yes.
friends.
Yes,